Enterprise JavaBeans, or EJBs, are a powerful technology for building robust, scalable, and maintainable enterprise applications. They provide a component-based architecture for developing and deploying distributed business logic, making it easier to manage complexity and promote code reusability. EJBs simplify the development of complex enterprise applications by providing a framework for handling common tasks such as transaction management, security, and persistence. They are particularly well suited for applications that require high availability, scalability, and security, and are often used in financial, telecommunications, and e-commerce systems, where reliability and data integrity are paramount. With EJBs, developers can focus on implementing business logic without having to worry about the underlying infrastructure, leading to faster development cycles and more maintainable code. One of the key benefits of EJBs is their ability to be deployed and managed independently. This means that different parts of an application can be updated or scaled without affecting the rest of the system. EJBs also provide a high level of abstraction, making it easier to port applications to different platforms and environments. This flexibility and portability make EJBs an attractive choice for developing enterprise applications that need to adapt to changing business requirements. Before you can start developing EJBs, you need to set up your development environment. This involves installing the necessary software and configuring it correctly. The first step is to choose a Java Development Kit, or JDK, that is compatible with the EJB specification you are using. You can download the latest JDK from the Oracle website. Once you have installed the JDK, you need to choose an integrated development environment, or IDE, that supports EJB development. Popular choices include Eclipse, IntelliJ IDEA, and NetBeans. These IDEs provide tools for creating, editing, and debugging EJBs, as well as deploying them to an application server. In addition to an IDE, you will need an application server that supports the EJB specification. Popular application servers include JBoss, GlassFish, and WebLogic. These servers provide the runtime environment for executing EJBs and managing their lifecycle. Once you have chosen an application server, you need to install it and configure it for EJB development. This typically involves creating a domain, setting up data sources, and configuring security settings. The specific steps for configuring an application server vary depending on the server you choose. Refer to the server's documentation for detailed instructions. After you have set up your development environment, you can start creating your first EJB. Creating an EJB involves defining its class and annotating it with the appropriate EJB annotations. The EJB annotations tell the application server how to manage the bean's lifecycle and how to expose its methods to clients. The most common type of EJB is the Stateless Session Bean, which is used to implement business logic that does not need to maintain state between method calls. To create a Stateless Session Bean, you annotate the bean class with the annotation @stateless public class myBean. This code defines a stateless session bean called with a single method called. The annotation tells the application server that this is a stateless session bean. The method takes a string as input and returns a string as output. This method can be invoked by clients to execute the bean's business logic. Once you have defined the bean class, you need to compile it and package it into an EJB jar file. The EJB jar file is a standard Java archive file that contains the bean class and its associated metadata. The metadata is defined in a special file called the deployment descriptor, which we will discuss in more detail in the next section. The deployment descriptor tells the application server how to deploy and manage the bean. EJBs interact with clients through interfaces. Interfaces define the methods that a client can invoke on a bean. There are two types of interfaces in EJB: local interfaces and remote interfaces. Local interfaces are used when the client and the bean are running in the same JVM. Remote interfaces are used when the client and the bean are running in different JVMs. To define a local interface, you annotate the interface with the annotation. To define a remote interface, you annotate the interface with the annotation. The interface should define the methods that the bean exposes to clients. The bean class must then implement the interface. at local public interface, myBean local, at stateless public class. myBean implements myBean local. This code defines a local interface called with a single method called. The class implements the interface, providing the implementation for the method. Clients can then use the interface to invoke the method on the bean. Section 5. The deployment descriptor. The deployment descriptor is an XML file that contains metadata about the EJB. This metadata tells the application server how to deploy and manage the bean. It defines the bean's name, the interfaces it exposes, the resources it requires, and other configuration parameters. Typically named, it is located in the directory of the EJB jar file. Let's take a closer look at an example. Here's a simple deployment descriptor for the Stateless Session Bean. The element defines the name of the bean, which is used to reference the bean from clients. Meanwhile, the element defines the fully qualified class name of the bean. The element specifies that the bean is a stateless session bean, and the element specifies that the bean uses container-managed transactions. This means that the application server handles transaction management for the bean. Section 6. Deploying your EJB. Once you have created the EJB jar file, you can deploy it to the application server. The process for deploying an EJB varies depending on the application server you are using. In general, you need to copy the EJB jar file to a specific directory in the application server's configuration and then restart the server. The server will then scan the EJB jar file and deploy the bean. Once the bean is deployed, it is available to clients who can access the bean through its interfaces. The application server provides a naming service that allows clients to look up beans by name. Clients can then invoke methods on the bean using the bean's interfaces. The deployment process involves registering the EJB with the application server, making it accessible to clients. The server manages the bean's lifecycle, ensuring its availability and handling concurrency issues. Once deployed, the EJB becomes an integral part of the server's runtime environment, ready to process client requests. Testing EJBs is essential to ensure that they are working correctly. You can test EJBs using unit tests or integration tests. Unit tests focus on testing individual components of the bean, such as its methods. Integration tests focus on testing the bean's interactions with other components, such as databases or other EJBs. To write unit tests for EJBs, you can use a testing framework such as Junit or TestInE. These frameworks provide annotations and assertions that you can use to write tests for your bean's methods. To write integration tests for EJBs, you can use a testing framework such as Arquillion. Arquillion allows you to deploy your EJB to an embedded application server and then run tests against it. Testing helps to identify and fix bugs early in the development cycle, ensuring the quality and reliability of the EJB. It also helps to validate that the EJB integrates correctly with other components, ensuring the seamless operation of the entire application. EJBs are often used as part of a larger application. You can integrate EJBs with other Java EE technologies, such as web applications, web services, and message-driven beans. To integrate EJBs with web applications, you can use the Java Servlet API. Servlets can look up EJBs using the naming service and then invoke methods on them. To integrate EJBs with web services, you can use JAX-WS. JAX-WS allows you to expose EJB methods as web services, making them accessible to clients over HTTP. To integrate EJBs with message-driven beans, you can use JMS. JMS allows EJBs to send and receive messages asynchronously. Integration allows EJBs to participate in diverse workflows, exchanging data and coordinating actions with other parts of the application. This enables the creation of complex, distributed systems where different components interact seamlessly to achieve business goals. In addition to the basic concepts covered in this guide, there are many advanced EJB concepts that you can explore. These concepts include Stateful Session Beans, which maintain state between method calls, allowing you to implement conversational business logic. Singleton Session Beans, which are instantiated only once per application and are shared by all clients. Message-driven beans allow you to process messages asynchronously using JMS. Timer services allow you to schedule tasks to be executed at specific times or intervals. Interceptors allow you to intercept method calls and execute code before, after, or around the method execution. These advanced concepts provide powerful tools for building sophisticated enterprise applications. They allow you to implement complex business logic, manage state, handle asynchronous communication, and enhance the functionality of your EJBs. EJBs are a powerful technology for building robust, scalable, and maintainable enterprise applications. They provide a component-based architecture for developing and deploying distributed business logic, making it easier to manage complexity and promote code reusability. This guide has provided a step-by-step introduction to EJB development, covering everything from setting up your development environment to deploying and testing your EJBs. By following the steps outlined in this guide, you can start developing your own EJBs and integrate them into larger enterprise applications. Remember to explore the advanced EJB concepts to further enhance the functionality and capabilities of your EJBs. As you gain more experience with EJB development, you will appreciate the power and flexibility they offer for building complex, distributed systems. Mastering EJB development opens up a world of possibilities for building sophisticated enterprise applications that meet the demands of modern businesses. With their robust architecture, scalability, and support for advanced features, EJBs remain a cornerstone technology for developing reliable and high-performance enterprise solutions.